Lindsay here with Factory Obscura, and welcome to the first episode of our new interview series called Chill Chats, where we sit down and talk to some of our favorite local creatives to talk about what they're creating, what they're up to, and what they're inspired by. And today I am joined by hip hop artist Jabee and poet Najah Amatullah. They're going to be performing at Beer City Music Hall this Saturday, August 8th, and they're celebrating their 10-year anniversary of their album, In the Black Future, There's a Place So Dangerously Absurd. So JB and Najah, even just the title of that album really draws me in, and it sounds like there's a narrative behind it. Can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind the title and the album overall?
You can do the title.
Okay, so yeah, um, 15, no, 12 years ago, we were hanging out and we were both gonna be asked to do a show, a Black History Month show. And I was teaching high school. I still teach high school, but I was thinking about all the things that were going on at the time. This is kind of like the start of the Black Lives Matter movement. And also, I was reading The Warmth of Other Suns, and there was like a line in there about in the book is about the Great Migration, things like that. And she said something about a place so dangerously absurd. And so I was like, that sounds cool. And then I'm thinking about the Black history and then also the future of like, what is this future going to look like? Because we've got so much going on in the world right now. And we're about to do this show, and I was like, I want to write something new for this show. And so this is the poem that I wrote, and because I'm thinking about my students and how they're the future in the Black future, in the Black future. And then I'll let JB talk about how that ended up being connected to the album.
Yeah, so whenever I started the album, I knew I wanted the word black in it, but I didn't have a title. And what's cool is that I think I've always had like long titles and then kind of just, and then like shorten them as, everything was beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And then, but the full title is Everything Was Beautiful, Nothing Hurt, right? And then Black Future was next. And then after that, I did, This World So Fragile and Cruel. I'm glad I got you. So, but then the short version is Fragile and Cruel, you know what I'm saying? So that's been something I've always done. So I knew I wanted the word black to be in it, but I didn't know what the title was. So I told her that. And then she did the show that night. I didn't do the show. I ended up going to jail. But so I couldn't do the show. But and I didn't even tell nobody I went to jail even when I got out. I didn't post about none of that. And so we were in Tulsa months later, and I hadn't really talked to Najah because, I just felt, I was really just going through it. And so I hadn't talked to her. And I was like, "Did you do the show?" She was like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "I did the new poem." I said, "Well, what was it called?" And she was like, "Black Future." I was like, "That's the name of the album." So, that's what we calling it. And then as she started telling me reading the poem to me and telling me, no, the full title is this. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was just like organic. You know what I mean? How it happened. So
That's really beautiful. Who else is involved on the album? Who else is a collaborator?
we had a few collaborations. So I recorded some here in Oklahoma City. A friend of mine, Denver Duncan, we recorded a lot of the earlier songs with him in his studio. Then we did some at Diamond Sound with Chris Cutter. Then I did a lot in Tucson with Finn and the Driving Scientist. So there's a lot of people. I recorded one song in New York in Status Selector Studio, but so he produced one. We did one with Chuck D. Ali Loren came and played on one. Then we had we did like some choir stuff with Cookie Turner and just she invited a bunch of her friends who she sings with to come and sing. Sid from Bozy. Who else?
Millie Mesh.
Oh, Millie Mesh came through. And then Papa Rod. Before he was Papa Rod, he came through. And he's just like now he's just like killing the game. So I'm so happy for him. But I think that might be it. I could be forgetting somebody. My homie Hannibal King from Queens.
What's their name on Come Up?
Oh, Meant to Be,
Mm-hmm.
Meant to Be, sing on some, and then I had I had Killer Mike do like so I went on tour with Run the Jewels, and so the song I think it's the one with Hannibal King. Um, I have a line where I say, Killer Mike saw my intro and said, "You little." What happened was, can we cuss on here?
I can beep it.
Okay.
It's fine.
And so what happened was when I was on tour, the intro to my set, I was my set was on. I was getting started, and so my homie was like, Killer Mike was bugging about your set. I was like, he was about your intro. I was like, yeah. I said, what did he say? He said, as soon as it came on, he was like, you little. I was like, who is that on stage right now? And he was like, that's Jabee. He was like, that little. So I had Killer Mike call in like a voice memo for that. But yeah, it was, to be honest though, um, it was a collaboration from start to finish. I mean, the studio was always full of people. LTZ was in there a lot of times with us. It was, I mean, it was a big collaboration. Even when I was in Tucson recording, the studio was always full of people helping out. You know what I'm saying? So it was a big collaboration overall with a lot of artists.
Nice. Which collaborators will be performing with you at Beer City?
Najah, of course, and Meant to Be, and who else? I have a few that I can't say yet,
Okay.
but yeah, Najah for sure, and Meant to Be.
Awesome. What's your favorite song off of the album and why?
My favorite song is either this song called "Try So Hard" or the song "Minutes." Try so hard because I remember listen. I Finn made the beat when I was in Tucson, and I remember I was flying out of Phoenix, and I remember I had to catch this bus and it wasn't even a bus, like a van. It was like just a van full of like Mexican dudes. You know what I'm saying? Kept riding from Tucson to Phoenix, and it was like $13. You know what I'm saying? They'll take it, drop you off in Phoenix, and so I remember being on that little van, listening to the beat and just thinking about everything, and thinking, man, I'm freaking on this van, struggling, like, and it was just how I was feeling that moment, and how my life was going in the direction, it was going in. So I just remember the moment when I was doing Try So Hard, and then also I remember when I was trying to lose weight and stuff like that and working out before the album came out. Um, I would listen to the song over and over again, like when I'm running or in the gym and stuff like that, and it would just motivate me because I knew how I felt at that moment. And then Minutes, because it's 3 verses, and each verse is intro by 3 people in my life: my dad, my cousin, and then one of my best friends. My dad, of course, um, all the things that just come with that, in our relationship. People already know, like, you know, um, growing up, we weren't, really that close, but like now he's one of my best friends, you know what I'm saying? And then my cousin, he was actually in the pen at the time. And so we would always talk on the phone about, when he got home, what he was going to do and stuff like that. And so that, and then my friend Chris McCain, who, he and I had our ups and downs and stuff like that. And, I really wanted to talk about how, like, he inspired me, not even knowing how to go to a studio or record, none of that, you know what I'm saying? And, he was one of the first people that, took me to the studio and showed me how to record and, you know what I'm saying, all that. So just really like just shining light on those 3 men who played a big part in my life. So.
Nice. Yeah, what's your favorite, Najah?
Yeah, I have a couple. My first favorite, maybe it's because it's the first on the album, is "Come Up," and I like how, to me, that one does a good job of being like catchy with the hook. That's Meant to Be's song, but also having the messaging, because it's, he says, first of all, rest in peace to Sandra Bland, first of all, and then second verse, first of all, rest in peace to Freddie Gray, and then all the different historical references. He and I were talking about, at the time we had put out a lyric book, and I think that we should maybe run it back. We'll see if we can put it together, because I often think that when people listen to hip hop, they miss a lot of stuff, and so I think that would be cool if we could run it back, because even just that song has so many like hidden things in there, references to Malcolm X and to so many different leaders throughout history. Clara Looper, hey trooper, I'm Clara Looper, sitting and I demonstrate. So and then my second favorite is Flash's Papa Rod, is that's the one he's on, and I just thought it was so much fun. And then my third is Marilyn Monroe. LTZ, who he was talking about, is in the studio with us. That is what he calls a girl song, and it's just fun. It's got Millie Mesh on it, Cookie Turner's on it, and we'll see if anybody can guess which section of that I may have influenced with my writing.
Okay.
And so that one's just it's fun for me. And I don't know that one is one like what you're usually rapping about. You're usually more like the more kind of like conscious ones, and that one is more of just like a fun one. It's still got in there the like Black positivity, like he talks about wanting to make sure that Black girls and women know that they are worthy of being called beautiful, and whatever. Don't think that they're less than, which is important, but it's not necessarily like on the level of activism and things like that. And that's not necessarily what you normally do, so it's just a fun one.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked on that one how the beat switches up, and
Yes.
then when Millie Mesh comes in, man, and the things that she says,
She
uh,
has a cool cadence.
yes, her cadence is cool, but she also talks about how you might look at her and think, oh, because her hair is a certain way or because her skin's not as dark, maybe she's mixed, and she's like, nah, I'm
Being mixed with a whole lot of nothing but Black.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so I was like, dang, like I really appreciate that, because a lot of times, especially for Black people, if you have fair skin, or curly hair, or what I'm saying, wavy hair, then the we're always quick to be like, oh no, I got Indian in my family. Nah, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, all I'm mixed with is Black. You know what I mean? And Black comes in all shades. So I, that's one of the reasons why I really like that song too, as well, especially the writing she did on it, and and also just talking about, I remember being in school as a kid, and you know, uh, like white kids making fun of my sister because her lips was big and stuff like that. And like now, people pay to get their lips like hers. You know what I mean? So I talk about those things, but yeah. So it's that. Yeah, that's a cool song too.
Yeah. What would you say inspires the work that you create in general? Like, where do you draw
You go
inspiration
first.
from?
Sure. Um, Definitely the world around me. So in poetry circles back a few years ago, we kind of like put everybody in their lane. Like so and so's a love poet, so and so's a political poet, so and so's a an angst poet or whatever. And my friends were always like, not just a political poet, except for like every once in a blue moon when she's a love poet. And so like it's usually that. But and yeah, I sometimes try to get away from it, but it almost always has those political
Yeah.
overtones. I do think that I believe, I don't want to say the wrong name, but one of our foremothers in writing, says that our job is to like kind of record what's going on artistically, and make sure that we're being representative of the times that we're living in.
Yeah.
And I do that. I'm journalism trained as well, but poetry and creative writing is more interesting, and so I try to do a little bit of that and to bring like my unique life to it, because I think that's another thing that like journalism isn't meant to do. Like journalism is supposed to be just the facts. And so for the creative writing, wanting to bring in like my my age bracket, my lived experience as a Black woman in Oklahoma, like this is how I'm experiencing this very specifically from my vantage point of what's going on in the world. And so, yeah, that's what my focus usually is. And for the times, I do also like to make sure that I'm also always looking backward and forward. I think that every generation, it's pretty standard. Every generation kind of thinks like, we don't need to be doing what they were doing before. But I think that we always need to at least know about what they were doing before, because we can't throw it all away. They were always doing something right. Yeah, we can make improvements on it. We shouldn't, just do exactly what they were doing, but we shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater either. So
Yeah, that's good. For me, it's kind of similar. Things that that happen. My life, things I experienced growing up. Um, the world around me. Now, I think about my children when I write. Relationships. And I was just now I was thinking, are there any songs on the album like centered around relationships? And no, there aren't, which is weird because I usually have one maybe, but then I think back to where I was, in that time, like I said, like I was going through it so much, I didn't even have time to even think about, relationships. So, but yeah, those things inspire me, and those are the things I like to write about. That's why sometimes I feel like I'm gonna be done. I don't want to do music no more, or but life happens, and it's also therapeutic, and it's how I start to get those things out. Just like for instance, now that I'm signed to a label, I have to, do an album, the way, the label wants it done. And so, work with the producers they have set up for me, right? Well, I just dropped a song a couple months ago, called, New Chapter. And I had to literally call the label and be like, listen, if I do not get to put this song out, I'm going to be stuck on this subject forever. You know what I'm saying? So I have to get these thoughts and express these feelings and what I've been going through out, and not take them into the album. You know what I'm saying? So can we please release this song and just call it done, and then I'll move on to the next thing. But until I get this off my chest, I'm not going to be able to work on the album the way So those are the things that really inspire me, and like this album's 10 years old. My daughter is 14, and we were rolling the other day, and she was saying how this is her favorite album of mine. You know what I mean? I'm like, dang, you was 4 years old when I made this album, and my other daughter was like 2. But I just remember them being in the studio with me. Denver Duncan sent me a bunch of pictures from the studio the other day, and it was just cool to moments I didn't even remember. You know what I'm saying? And then at the release show and stuff like that. So with everybody there and my kids being there, so yeah, all those things, play a part in inspiration, and I think that's what keeps me going. Is life keep life in. So.
Awesome. So you both are alums of our mixtape series, where you write an original song based on one of the rooms in the mixtape experience. JB, you were on volume 1, and then Najah, I believe you're on volume 3.
I think so.
And then today you all chose to have this interview in the Teen Femme room. So what are some elements of this room that kind of draw you in?
Yeah, I love this room so much. It is so nostalgic. I still teach high school, and so like this age group it is an it's an over, like, people talk about it a lot and too much, and also underemphasize its potential. Like, people are like, yeah, teenagers are so, they're angsty, and they've got all these emotions, and they're like not doing anything, and they don't care about anything. It's like, no, they actually care too much about everything is actually what it is. Because they do have a lot of feelings, and a lot of people don't listen to them enough, and don't tell them where to put those feelings. And so even thinking about like leaders, civil rights activists, people who became kind of people that we look up to, right? It's only been over the last 5 to 8 years that I realized how young some of them were when they became who we thought they were. They're in their early 20s, and then I just turned 38 yesterday, and
Happy belated birthday.
thank you. Both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were 39 when they died.
Wow.
In a couple of years, I'm going to be older than they were, and they had 10 years, 15 years of being historically famous for forever, dying at 39, right? And so thinking about teenagers 15, 16 years old, that's only 5 years away from 2020, 21, 22. And so those thoughts are already in them. They don't necessarily know what to do with them yet, but they're already in them. And so, looking at even these like clippings and, what do we do with what we love? That says keep fighting, keep loving right there, right? What do we do with what we love? What do we do with what we care about? What do we do with who we care about? What do we do when people get in the way of us? What do we do when they tell us we can't? What do we do when we feel like something's wrong and nobody's listening? Like, what do we do with all that stuff? And I think, like I said, people don't listen, but people also don't tell them how to channel that stuff, And so I really get a kick out of helping them work through how to, like, well, you could do this. Have you ever thought about this? Like, letting their kind of, as an English teacher, getting them to be able to like write stuff out. Well, just kind of think about it. Write this down. What if such and such, and then go write about it, So it evokes all of those things in me. And I remember being 15 or 16 and assuming I was going to be able to change the world. And, change the world is an interesting, like, ideology that, like, I don't know who tells us that, but like changing the world is not a thing. I knew a poet who said, I'm not going to try and change the world, but I can try to change a few people's hearts. And that is the more realistic thing. It inspires me artistically too, because it's very much music focused, kind of like pop culture focused, right? And so pop culture has these big personalities who kind of make it to the spotlight, right? And so for me, being a local artist who is somewhat well known if you pay attention to things, talking to students about what is it that you want to do, what is it that you want to be, and knowing that you can do what you want. And if you are doing what you want but you don't become Beyonce, that doesn't necessarily mean you failed.
Yeah.
Like, if you get to sing all day but you just feed your family but you're not Beyonce, that's not failure.
Yeah.
You still get to do what you want all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. I'm always having that same conversation with people as well. It's like, I think about like, what were all the things I wanted to do in music, and like my dreams and goals, and like I've achieved them all. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to tour the world and tour Europe. I've done that. I wanted to, simple things like put my music on vinyl. I've done that. Get paid for music. I've done that. Get signed to one of my favorite hip hop labels. I've done that. Work with my favorite producers. I've done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been blessed to do all the things that I set out to do. And, I think, what she's saying is true. It may not look like, what the world says success is, but man, like, I, all the things have happened, you know what I mean? And I get to, wake up in the morning and do what I want to do, and it's because of music and because of art, And so I think this room just reminds me of that kid, you know what I'm saying, laying in the bed, looking up at the ceiling. And I had stars like this on my ceiling too. But looking up at the ceiling at my posters of, like, DMX and Mace and Tupac and Big Pun and Big L and album covers and you know what I'm saying, like like those are the things like that really like gave me life. I loved being in my bedroom. I loved I just it, I just loved it. I love when magazines came out and I would go grab them and read the articles and then cut out the pictures and stick them to my wall. You know what I mean? And so that's what this reminds me of, like almost like that innocence of when I didn't when all I had to do was just be a kid and wake up in the morning, you know what I'm saying, and go to school, and that was the hard part, you know what I'm saying. um, so so yeah, for me, that's what this room just reminded me of, is like um, just being young JB and laying down, and that was my safe space, my you know, 'cause I can go in there, shut the door, and I was good. You know what I'm saying? Put my headphones on, listen to music. And what's crazy is both my girls, they always walk around with their headphones on all the time now. And I was going to say something to them. I was going to be like, we in the car, we need to talk. You know what I'm saying? Or we out places, we are out. Take them headphones off. But then I was like, that's all I used to do. You know what I'm saying? And and so like it just reminded me, like man, that they just how I was, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's one reason why I wanted to do it in this room, because it just Black Future was like a pivotal moment in my career. um you know it put me on the map in a lot of ways. I remember I just saw someone posted, and they were like, it brought you to France. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, you don't even think about those things that, and so um, before Black Future, you know, my life was a whole lot different. And so Future was really like a pivotal point in my life in so many ways. Um, and without 2016 putting out Black Future, I wouldn't have had any part in Tower Theater. I wouldn't have, which led to restaurants, you know what I'm saying, which led to other things. I wouldn't have been, that's Black Future helped open up doors to teach at ACM. Like, I could just go on and on, and so, yeah, I just really think that, Black Future was such a moment, and this room reminds me of, those dreams and, that innocence that you have as a kid when you're dreaming, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. So this room has a hidden karaoke machine. So I have to ask, what are your go-to karaoke songs?
it depends on if I'm faded or not. If I've been drinking, like I don't care, and so I either do Journey, Don't Stop Believing, or um, um, Queen. But that song can be long. What's Bohemian Rhapsody could be hella long for people, but everybody sings along though.
Everyone loves it.
You know what I'm saying? I'll do something like that if I've been drinking.
Yeah.
If I haven't been drinking, I'm trying to be cool, and and I'm like, do y'all have any Tupac? You know what I'm saying? But if I'm gone, then I'm singing something like that.
That's funny. So I'm actually just inhibited enough to usually not do karaoke. But if I'm game, like I think the last time I did it, I might have done Smash Mouth, and it depends on like who's around, right? Yeah. So I was with a group of teachers, so I'm like, y'all are old enough to know Smash Mouth, because it's not fun if nobody's gonna know the songs, right? So either Hey Now You're an All Star, or something from NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, like something that would have been popular when I was in 2006. I Want You Back, or Backstreet's Back, when it's something like that. Yeah, teeny bopper stuff.
People take I didn't realize people take karaoke serious.
Some people take it
I didn't
very
realize
serious.
it was a serious thing.
Yes.
So yeah. So don't get up there if it's a serious night. Don't get up there trying to be funny.
So what are both of you working on currently? Anything new in the works?
I don't have anything. I don't have any projects in the works right now. Um, I am going to be teaching. I'm an adjunct at OSU for the first time this fall, and so I'm anticipating being busier than usual. So, but I'm trying to get a group of friends together on a regular basis to write and just like make progress together because I know that I'm like body doubling is a new thing that we have terminology for, and that works well for me. So I'm more focused on like getting the consistency of people and like reminding people, okay, like Saturday, are y'all coming? Are you coming? Are you coming? So like that's where my energy is at right now. I don't have a project. I want to get signed to a label too. No, not to rap, but like I have my books are self published, and so I'm looking for a real publisher for my poetry. Um, yeah, and that's but I'm not necessarily doing it with huge intensity at the moment because school's going to be intense starting next week or in 2 days. But yeah, but that's where I'm at poetically right now.
Where am I at? Just writing for this album. I have all the production so far.
What's the album called?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm trying to decide if I wanna do. It'll depend on which direction the songs go. It's produced by Ant from Atmosphere, and so I have an old album that like when I probably like 2001, 2002 called "The Hood Is Great," and I thought about doing something with that title to kind of like throw back to what I was doing back then, or just do something totally different. So I don't know. But I just been going through the beats and just writing and then just trying to get back into that creative mode and then recording like the last project I put out is 2026. I think it was 2024. So it's been like 2 years. It don't seem like that, but it's been like 2 years. So just trying to get back into the groove of recording and writing consistently, because you do so many other things, and you gotta make time for those things for writing and recording too. So
what you dropped earlier this summer, was that just a single or was
that was just one single. Yeah, yeah. I was in the mood because I had to get that off my chest. So
how can our listeners support the ongoing work that you do?
I think just show up to events, of course, concerts, buy music, buy books, and I think the biggest thing that goes the furthest way is to always be telling people about us and what we do. I think word of mouth is the biggest way that somebody could actually like start to like get real traction and go far because there's no better promotion than word of mouth. Somebody telling you think about
hey, did you hear that song?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I always tell people like because and I hate to be this person, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it like and I'm sure you know it. You know the same feel some way being a musician. Like I'm trying to think who could I say? Okay, let's just say Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z had the big thing in New York where he did the 3 shows. Everybody's posting about it. People flying from OKC to go to all 3 shows, and to get them same people just to come to one of our joints is like pulling teeth. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I wish I could have went. I'm not saying don't go. I'm just saying like, I want people to have that same kind of energy for their friends and for their homies that do art. I think about, Drake will drop an album, Kendrick will drop an album, and they posting that album. I mean, the album, the song, the lyrics, they posting about everything about the album, and they don't even know Kendrick or Drake, and they don't need your help. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick and Drake don't need your help, but you promoting them, and you got people who you're friends with and homies with, and you got they, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't do nothing for them. I swear I don't ever send nobody no songs. I don't ever send my music. I don't ever send nobody no links. Tell them to listen. None of that, because I feel like if they want to, they will. People send me stuff all the time to listen to share, to post, and for the most part, I try to at least share it and post it or listen when they send it. But I don't ever do that because I feel like, man, like that should go without saying. You know what I'm saying? That should
Mm-hmm.
go without. I shouldn't have to. Well, you didn't tell me. It's like, so when did Drake call you and tell you to post this? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Or just coming to a show. It's like how much do it cost to get in? What time do it start? I bet you didn't call Jay-Z to see what time the
Yeah.
show started.
Yeah.
You didn't call him to see how much it was. You figured out how to do it and you figured out how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to spoon feed you every single thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? To get you somewhere. So, I would if that would be the biggest way to support what we're doing is to do the same thing you doing for these you don't know. Do it for the people you do know.
Yes.
Woo.
Invest in your local scene. Yes.
Yes. I was gonna also say that we're gonna see if we can give y'all something we haven't given you before. Like I was talking about the lyric book. That part will be easy, but we're gonna see if we can give you a little something extra on there too. That I think would. I still think the second part would be easy too, and I think that it would really go along with everything else that we've been doing. Yeah, he's not wrong. He's more irritated about it than I am, but he's not wrong. We post our stuff, and we're on the social media, and all you gotta do is like and share. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your social handles?
I am Najah Ama on everything. Najahama. There's an A every other letter. Najahama. Everywhere. And he's usually my name is JB.
Yeah.
My name is JB everywhere.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Najah and JB, for joining us. Thanks for being our first guest.
I got one
Okay,
request.
go ahead. A
I tell
question.
I tell everybody this, or I ask this for everybody.
Yeah.
It's I love that y'all are doing this, and it's so dope to even be the first guest. And I know we hit you up for help.
Shout out to Factory Obscura.
Yeah,
We love
and
Factory
y'all felt we've collabed with so many things, Juneteenth, and just whenever this podcast session blows up, and y'all are, you know what I'm saying, just make sure to have us back one more time.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you both so much. Be sure to check out their show at Beer City Music Hall this Saturday, August 8th. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. Tickets are available at beercitymusichall.com.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, what is it?
You know this song.
Probably. What is it?
Respect.
Oh, weird. I mean, I was waiting for it to come.
What
You want? Baby, I got it. What you need? You know I got it.